You're listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which invites you along on a journey to learn of mindful living, grow in mental health, and inspire through personal growth. In a world where we can often feel much stress and overwhelm, this podcast provides bite-sized tips and real talk conversations, empowering you to embrace mindfulness and nurture your full potential. I'm your host, Vanessa de Jesus Guzman, educator, licensed professional counselor, entrepreneur, and mom. I'm passionate about helping others live life with peace of mind and ease of heart without losing their, here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 164 of the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I hope that you're feeling good, looking good, and doing better in this world than you were yesterday. So if you live in the United States, you know that the first Monday in September, we celebrate Labor Day. And although now it's kind of like the unofficial end of summer, Labor Day really came to be in the late 19th century because there were a lot of people who really campaigned for the workers' rights in the labor movement around that time in history. There are a lot of things nowadays that we take for granted, such as the 40-hour work week, which really doesn't have to be 40 hours, but we'll get to that a little bit later, and safe work conditions, paid time off, sick leave. And although we still have ways to go, especially when it comes to family leave, we do have a lot of rights in the United States, and that's what we are celebrating on Labor Day. Now, since the time span of 2020 to 2022 or so, we definitely began to rethink about the way that we look at our labor or our jobs. And a lot of questions came about around the topics of, do I want to be my own boss? Does a 9 to 5 truly feed my soul? Do I love my job or am I just struggling to get by? Am I functioning on autopilot? What do I even want out of my career? And a question that we often overlook is, am I truly happy doing what I'm doing and where I'm doing it? For some of us, we may be aligned on our path, but for the other some, we get into a habit of checking boxes off, especially when it comes to just career-oriented initiatives. And it isn't always our fault, or it isn't always a mindful decision. Sometimes we just do what we do because we've grown accustomed to it, or we think it's just a lifestyle that makes sense, but we don't really reflect on, does it make sense for us? So, as you may already be aware, I am first generation Dominican American, which means that my parents came to the United States around the New York City area when they were in their early 20s and then had me after they arrived here to the States. We learned English together around the time that I was 5 or 6 or so after being in kindergarten. And then they made a very good life for themselves. A value that I hold near and dear to my heart is their amazing work ethic. I remember being, I don't know, around 9 or 10, 11, 12, around there. And I remember exactly where I was in my parents' room and my dad sitting down and telling me that nobody can take away from you how hard you work and how important it was to be on time when you get to work and to work to the best of your ability because that is how you were viewed when you went to work. And that's what people really judged you by, was based on your work ethic. I don't remember the exact words, but I never really forgot that message. And that's something that when I began my career in education, when I was a mere 21 years old, I would always remember that as far as putting your best foot forward, giving your all at work, and making sure that you are always doing your best. I will say that while that is still super duper important to me, and I still hold that as one of my values today, there is an extreme to this point because you can have a strong work ethic, but the important question to ask is, do you sacrifice your family, your physical and mental and emotional well-being? Do you sacrifice you for your job? Or can you just have a strong work ethic and still have a positive and healthy work-life balance? And that is why I am so passionate about what I do, even now after retiring of an 18-year career in education and now being my own boss. Now I am very intentional about how I get to show up at work and at what times I get to work and who I even get to work with. However, I'll be honest with you and tell you that sometimes my own work life balance is not healthy because being my own job and having so much passion for what I do and for my business, since it's my baby, I can sometimes overdo it. And when you live life as a perfectionist and when your job and what you do is so important to you, it's a delicate balance to make sure that, yes, we do things to the best of our ability, but that we don't let ourselves be consumed by work and that we don't let work define us. And again, that's really hard, especially when you love what you do or when you're an entrepreneur. We may see things every day, as far as in news and media. We see stories of climbing the success ladder and so many stories that can make us experience many emotions like maybe guilt, regret, maybe even jealousy or anger, wondering why we're not where we should be, or maybe where our counterparts are, comparing our lives, or thinking even what we could have been. But when we're thinking about those stories and when we're checking off these boxes that we so often place ourselves in, we sometimes forget to realize that our purpose isn't just defined by our career. New York Times bestselling author and Hall of Fame speaker Rory Vaden, who I adore, he once said, "You make money from the problems you solve, but you make a life from the passion you chase." And with that question, my friends, I ask you, what is your purpose? Because truth be told, our purpose is defined more than the goals we have or how much money we make. Our purpose extends to the meaning we hold in our lives of those we cherish. And it holds weight in the dreams that we have, no matter where we are in the process. And even when we feel as though we don't know our purpose, or when we feel like we lack in some way and we can't recognize our true potential, our purpose is there, always waiting to be tapped into. Because purpose comes from passion. And that's something that the checklist doesn't always talk about, but it really should. Because when we think about it, what does it mean to be truly rich? I know money doesn't solve all problems, but I'd be lying if I said that it doesn't help because life can get expensive. And trust me, I know bills are no joke. But sometimes it seems that we forget that there's a difference between being rich and choosing things that enrich our lifestyle. Because the things in life that truly make us rich are priceless. It's the memories that we make, the Polaroids of those precious moments, the snapshots that we hold in our minds, the family we grew up with, or the families that we make, the people we meet, and the things that we experience. And these things, my friends, are what makes us the people we are and what truly makes our life filled with meaning. We should remind ourselves that what makes us prosperous, what we will remember years from now, are the shared experience, the moments of laughter and tears, the milestones, and the gentle reminders that love is worth more than any dollar amount. Desire is filled by more than just quantity. It's really, truly all about quality. We add enrichment each time we choose to recognize that it is more than a personal finance decision, but it's really the active decision to allow ourselves to enjoy life. And when we fill our lives with purposeful relationships and experiences, we become passionate and rejuvenated. We become curious about our everyday life. That's mindfulness there. And then we build the connections and are intentional about building these connections that lead us to feeling enriched in our life. And yes, there are cost values, but what does value mean when it comes to being human? Values are things that make life meaningful. Think about who we are. These are core values and are principles that we live life based on so that we can build relationships and how we navigate any issues that we come across. These values can be authenticity, compassion, flexibility, resilience, and so much more. These values can guide your way of thinking, of personal development choices, and drive an impact, and it leads to overall more value. My personal values are learning through mindful living, growing in mental health, and inspiring through personal growth, which is what we talk about here on the Free to Be Mindful podcast. It also impacts what we do because value also refers to action items like goals and practices for mental wellness, like therapy and meditation and journaling, practices for physical wellness, like exercise and going for long walks and yoga. Finding really what makes you happy, even if it is job related. So maybe it's a side hustle or a passion project or things you can't do full time, but that do bring you joy. To add value to your life is to be open to new opportunities and allow yourself to be okay with change, or maybe just to switching up your routine. Sometimes when we feel bored or jaded or just stuck in a particular routine, we can feel like our lives lack value. But a good way to break out of that cycle or habit is to develop new goals or to try new experiences. Who we are and what we do leads to a valuable life filled with growth, joy, and intention. And it's funny because we can't think of labor and work without thinking about taxes. Because as much as we add value to things in life, we can't deny that some experiences in our lives are indeed taxing. They drain our energy, they take away from our goals and hopes and dreams, and they can make us a stranger to even our own thoughts and feelings. There was a 2017 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that stated individuals who accept rather than judge their mental experiences may attain better psychological health, in part because acceptance helps them experience less negative emotion in response to stressors. And that's where mindful living comes in. It's accepting the right here and the right now, truly being where you are and letting that judgment go. So, my friends, allow yourself to feel out your emotions, all of your feels. If you're sad or angry, don't be so hard on yourself. Experience that pain, cry it out. You're human, and that's what we're about, and it's okay. We're meant to feel. We're meant to give ourselves the time to feel, and then giving ourselves the time to heal from all of these feels. Once you feel in a better place, practice things that make you feel happy. Practice gratitude, have affirmations, watch funny shows, spend time with the people you love. All of those things can help you lead a better life. And when it comes to taxing in the other sense of the word, tax and finance, well, it's just something that goes along with a part of life, right? But do we have to tax our personal lives? When you work hard to become a passionate and positive person, remember that there may be struggles and hardships. And just because you fall doesn't mean that you can't pick yourselves back up and try again, because there is indeed beauty in struggle and sunshine after the rain. And there's the aspect of investment when it comes to working and money. What is investing? We can invest in buying property and assets that increase in value over time. So think about that in a personal way. Everything that we do for ourselves now is a part of the journey. It's an investment in building the best version of oneself. And if you're not sure how that works, think about if you make a healthy eating choice today, you'll thank yourself the next time you check in with your physical overall wellness goal. If we treat ourselves to a spa day today, let's say, we'll actually be tuning into self care, which will help make our minds and our bodies feel better. Similarly, short term goals and wins can help with long term ones as well. Working hard to get that master's degree now can help with a dream job later on in life. Adding a workout schedule to your life now can help with your overall health later. So remember that when you invest in yourself through self care and other things, then you take time to recognize how important you are. Our mental health and our physical health deserves love just as we do, and just like the love that we give to others. And just as there is self investment, there's also investing in people that we care about too, helping out where we can, building a supportive environment or being a supportive figure, learning our loved ones' love languages. All of these things can help to happier emotions and stronger relationships in the long term. Remember that flowers will bloom from the seeds that you plant, and investing in yourself and the community around you allows you to enjoy that garden. So, when we think about the concept of work, when we think about the concept of labor, do you really love to get up in the morning? Are you really loving what you do in the life you've created for yourself? Or do you feel taxed? Do you feel burnt out? Do you feel unhappy of where you are? And we work because hopefully it brings joy and value and fulfillment into our lives. But also, in the reality of things, we work because we want to earn money because money makes the world turn, right? And everything costs something. But remember, my friends, that we are more than the jobs that we do, or the clothes that we wear, or where we live, and the cars that we drive, and the vacations we go on. When we create a life of passion, we see that the problems we solve or the career that we work are only small fractions of our meaningful lives. Purpose should be the new money. And wearing $1 million smile as we chase this newfound passion can truly motivate us to revamp, refresh, or refuel our cups of energy. Sometimes our biggest competitors aren't just checklists or our external surroundings, they're really ourselves. We can feel limited by our past worries or traumas, or scared because of our future angst, but we cannot let who we have been or who we thought we were stop the person who we are meant to be. The person we are meant to be, the person who has been strong and broken down, the person who has loved and lost, who has been the champion and the person who's felt like giving up. That person is valuable, and that person deserves to find their purpose and fight for their passion. The lives we create are really worth living. They can be filled with beautiful stories of special experiences. They can be filled with people we love and care for, with learning experiences, with journeys of ups and downs. And as we navigate these lives and these experiences, we must remember to be kind to ourselves and to others and embrace the lives that we create. And when we feel that life is just too much and too overwhelming, remember that we can indeed learn the skills to help us take things from chaos to calm. And that's exactly what I have to offer you this upcoming September 14th at 8 o'clock via Zoom. Because parents indeed are the gatekeepers in creating calm instead of creating chaos in their households. So I'm offering this workshop called From Chaos to Calm, establishing a back to school routine that works for K to 8 households. So if you yourself have a child from kindergarten to 8th grade, and you'd like to learn some routines, not only to help your child, but really routines to help you help your child and help you help the overall feeling of your household, I invite you to this Chaos to Calm workshop. You can learn more and register by visiting the link in the show notes below. So, my friends, as I reflect on the story that I told you at the beginning about work ethic and my parents, I think about the career that I had in education and where I am now. And as I shared, I am often in front of a screen. I often leave the therapy room, my office, and then go home and do more work because I do have a passion to share content, to share my knowledge, to help other people. But just as I tell myself, I will share with you that remember, you are more than just your job, and you are more to those people who love you the most. Be present, for these are the moments that we have at this very moment. And before you know it, they can go. And we want to take advantage of them when we have them. I now invite you to join me on this short guided meditation. So, right now, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, I invite you to think about the many roles that you wear, the many titles you have. We hold many titles, some which we appreciate and some we wish we could let go. But I want you to think of, if you can take all of those away, think of, as heavy as this may seem, what you want to be remembered when you pass and leave this earth. Do you want to be remembered as boss or employee, as loving parent, or something else? Remember, our future is often decided upon what we do in the right here and right now. And while we do want to think about our future and how our choices can impact the later, we also just want to enjoy what's happening in the right here and right now. Before we end, think about, what can you do today to not only help yourself out in the tomorrow, but what can you do today to enjoy the today, to truly be present, not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally as well. Have a great week.